It's Tuesday, September 24, 2019. So, I've noticed a lot of things lately with respect to dog owners in places like Manhattan in New York City that I wanted to talk about today. We're going to keep doing these tips and tricks in these videos for you because part of our mission is to increase the level of adoptions of dogs and cats in shelters and rescues. Some of that has to do with what's called a return rate. A return rate, as an example, is when you go to a shelter and you adopt an animal. Let's say it's a dog. And let's say you get that dog home and you don't know that your child has allergies. A lot of parents, unfortunately, and I understand this and don't at the same time, I'm one of those people who would have had the allergy tests done before I went to the shelter. Anyway, I digress. A lot of parents will end up returning that animal. That's called a return rate. So other instances are if somebody's adopted a very large dog and they thought they could handle it, but they can't. Shelters obviously try to stop people from returning these pets through education, through community outreach, those kinds of things. Now, as part of Rock 'em Rawhide's mission, we want to keep that return rate down, which is one of the reasons why we do tips and tricks and videos like this to help you understand and gain a better understanding of your relationship with your forever friend. So today I want to talk about dogs. Let's talk about walking on the street. Believe it or not, we all know how sensitive dogs are with respect to hearing, with respect to what they see, what they smell, and certainly with what they feel. A traditional leash allows you to maintain better control over your dog, no matter how big or small, all right? But also to communicate through the leash a confidence and an assurance that you've got control of the situation. Dogs need to feel that from the walker, whether it's the owner or a dog walker that's for hire, those kinds of things. They have to feel that they're safe. Otherwise, they begin to act out. It's normal. That's called nature. So retractable leashes don't really work for that in that context. They're too loose. Oftentimes, especially new owners will let a dog go out too far away from them so they can't maintain control. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say you've adopted a small, white, fluffy dog, just for the sake of this conversation. And let's say you're walking down a Manhattan street and you get a phone call from your wife, your friend, whoever. You're going to be a little distracted no matter how much of a responsible pet owner you are. That's just human nature. Now, let's say that a big dog comes from around the corner that you weren't expecting or you didn't see. And it doesn't like little white fluffy dogs. So it's going to react, and then your dog is going to react. But if you've got enough lead on that leash, they're going to wrap around you, or God forbid, the other dog's leash, in which case that situation is going to get much worse very quickly. Here's why retractables don't work. You can't maintain control. Oftentimes people let them go out too far because that's what it's about, giving them extra lead on the leash so that they can run or play or whatever it might be. That's great in a park, maybe, but on a city street, bad idea. In terms of communication, if you're holding that leash too taut, then the dog will think that there's some concern or that they should be worried about something. If you're holding it too loose, they know they can get away from you. So the idea is to come somewhere in the middle to make sure that they feel like you've got their back, that you're protecting them and you're the one in the driver's seat. It also helps to maintain that alpha-beta relationship between dog and human. Now, another good idea for when you're out on a walk, especially if it's a puppy or a very young dog or a dog that you've just adopted, always bring treats with you out on a walk. If God forbid something happens and they get very distracted by it and you're having trouble controlling them, treats can come in very handy for that situation. Also, Kylie and I, every single day, for Snickers is 10 years on this earth, and Rolo's 7 years on this earth, we put them through a training exercise. Every day to get a treat, every day to get their dinner. That reinforces that alpha-beta relationship, but it also allows you to maintain some level of control. They know if you have a treat and you dangle it over them as you've been training them, that they need to pay attention. So attention getting can be very handy, especially on a street if there are loud noises, emergency vehicles, those kinds of things. It's all about keeping that pet safe and sound from the things that you can't affect. If you can maintain that control and communicate that confidence through the leash, you're pawsome. At the end of the day, raising a dog is no different than raising a child, with the exception that a dog can't really communicate in the same way. They do in their own ways. Just be mindful of that when you're out on a walk. Always carry poo bags with you when you're walking in an urban environment. If you're in a suburban environment, rules are a little different. It depends on where you are. But it's still a good idea to carry those bags with you, just in case your dog has an accident. Last tip with respect to walking. Remember, the rule is to curb your dog. That means not up against a building or against a planter, but in fact, towards the curb, towards the end of the sidewalk which abuts the street. You want to make sure, for frankly the sanitary conditions, in New York City especially, the streets aren't that clean. You want to make sure that you're trying to maintain as much cleanliness as you can. That's why if you curb your dog properly, then all of that waste ends up out on the street where cars go, and frankly gets swept more by the street sweepers and things like that. It's all about keeping your pet safe and keeping that confidence high. My name is Sean Patrick Hillman. I'm the chairman and co-founder of Rock and Rawhide. I'm going to keep sending out these videos, guys. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or you just want another tip, please email rockandrawhide@gmail.com. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay pawsome.